I'll give you $1 if you can name me a single bad Benedict Cumberbatch performance. Oh wait, he had that awful southern accent in the Mauritanian. Okay, I'm going to get my dollar bill now. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today we're diving into Benedict Cumberbatch's The Courier, which hits theaters tomorrow, March 19th. Thank you so much to Lionsgate for providing me with the screener for a review. It's directed by Dominic, Cooke, and it stars Benedict Cumberbatch himself and Rachel Brosnahan, along with Jessie Buckley. Guys, this movie actually features a very solid cast, and if you like spy thrillers similar to Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, you might actually fall in love with this film. However, there were some things that didn't really vibe with me, but before I give you my full review, guys, if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I talk about movies and I react to a ton of stuff all the time. So if you don't want to miss out, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell so you'll be the first one in the comments. And speaking of the comments, guys, when you see this movie, let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Sound off below and smash that like button if you want more reviews like this. Alrighty, guys, so let me give you the lay of the land with The Courier. The movie surrounds a British salesman named Greville Wynn, who is now responsible for helping the CIA and MI6 in bringing over a Russian source to help put an end to the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is based on a true story, and let me tell you, I was compelled in some moments because I could not believe that this actually happened. The movie's very compelling once the ball gets rolling and we start to really learn about this Russian military colonel who wants to defect from the Soviet Union, and trust me, the movie lets you know that this is one, not an easy task, and two, it could cost you your life. Alrighty, guys, so let's get into the first thing that really worked with me about this film, and it starts with our leading man, Benedict Cumberbatch. He's one of the best actors working in Hollywood today, and again, here in The Courier, he delivers the strongest performance of the film and one of the best of his career. Now, I don't say that lightly, I know. He's been in a lot of great films where his performances really were the standout, but I could not believe how he was able to portray Greville Wynn, a man who is very confident as a salesman and still very strong-willed as a spy. Benedict Cumberbatch really just thrives in this thriller spy environment, and I loved what he did with the performance itself. There's a stretch during the third act where he completely transforms. Now, I'm not going to tell you how he did that and why he did that because it would be a spoiler, but guys, he's frail, he's scared, yet he's still very strong-willed, and I love the fact that there's this amazing range that Benedict Cumberbatch always brings into his films. Even if it's with, you know, some of his lesser performances, you start to see that, man, he's got layers to him and he can just bring it every single time he's on screen. I'm just so glad to see him in yet another lead role this year, and I love how he is able to elevate his co-stars like Merab Ninidze. He plays the role of this Russian colonel. His name is Alex or Oleg Penkovsky. I think I got that right. But honestly, it's the relationship between him and Benedict Cumberbatch that really just steals the show for me. I love how director Dominic Cooke and the writer just gave them very specific moments where we could see their friendship start to build. And it was very important because it added another layer to this film when it desperately needed it. We start to understand their motivations individually and their family dynamic. And then there's this one specific moment of them watching a ballet show that just captivated me. Honestly, seeing Merab Ninidze and Benedict Cumberbatch sitting next to each other in tears shouting bravo at the end was very nuanced, but also just very excellent in the way it was executed. I was very much locked into the movie at that point, and I love the fact that we got that because honestly, the movie could have easily just trimmed that off, but the fact that they left that in there, again, gave this movie a different dynamic. Oh, and then there's a scene later on with them dancing together, and honestly, guys, it's just aces. I also like the supporting cast here along the way, too. They're fine, but they're not really great. I just think that they were there, and they were enough for what the film called for. Rachel Brosnahan leads this group as Emily Donovan, a CIA agent who's working with MI6 in Great Britain. I am a Rachel Brosnahan fan. She is awesome. Even if a film is mediocre, she's still so good. She gives it her all. And I love how she's always very strong. You know, I don't know what it is about her and her performances, but I'm always locked in. Any word she says, I'm hanging on the end of her sentences. She's very good at that, and she just commands the screen. She does that here in The Courier very often, and she really does break up some of those slower moments as the movie goes back and forth with its highs and its lows. And with that being said, guys, we gotta get into some of the negatives, because while the movie is still okay, for me, there were some things that held it back from what it could have been. So outside of the acting, I really do feel like the movie was let down by the filmmaking from director Dominic Cooke and the production, because this film should have brought it home at the end, but it didn't stick the landing. And I hate to use that, yes, it didn't stick the landing, but it's true, because towards the end, the movie had some very impactful scenes, but I didn't feel like the complete package was there for this film. There was so much left on the table, and then there were some weird editing decisions along the way, and I felt like there were good pieces of this puzzle, but none of it came together too well. There weren't many consistent thrills in this spy thriller, and I found the lulls to be very noticeable in the second half, where I figured we wouldn't get any. And I get it, most spy thrillers have that slow burn at the beginning in order to set the stage for a grand finale, but when we got there, I didn't feel that. I was left on the sidelines almost thinking, okay, where is this film going? And if it gets there, is it going to really execute properly? And it didn't. The score was unremarkable as well, and honestly, outside of the acting, the elements just weren't consistent enough for me to really feel in love with this film. And for as much as I was raving about the friendship between Alex and Greville, I don't feel like the chemistry was quite there with Greville and his wife, Sheila. And Sheila is played by the wonderful Jessie Buckley, who was the best part of I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and I don't necessarily feel like she was given the best script here in this film. The writing for her role was incredibly two-dimensional, and it lacked a lot of depth. And now I understand she's in a supporting role, guys, but there's a scene involving her and Benedict Cumberbatch at the end, and I just could not feel that Jessie Buckley was given much material to work with. I almost thought that, okay, she's trying her best, but there's not enough there. There's no synergy. The chemistry just wasn't present, and the movie does hinge on that for a while. It just never clicked with me. So every time they spent moments together, it did feel forced and unnatural, and I think here is where the Courier needed to deliver a better dynamic, because it would have helped the movie, especially towards the end. But outside of those negatives that I listed, guys, I do feel like the Courier as an overall film is just fine. It's not a film I think you'd get too upset with if you saw it on a cheap weekday showing at your local theater, but it isn't going to blow your mind like a Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and it's not going to have many layers to really make you fall in love with the story. Now, I can't lie to you guys, I was completely locked in during certain scenes, and when the stakes began to rise, Benedict Cumberbatch met the occasion. I just wish that the surrounding elements were stronger, the score didn't necessarily feel very impactful, and the directing was a little basic, honestly. For a movie that had so much depth with its story on the surface, there wasn't too much beyond that. And the film didn't necessarily deliver enough to justify that nearly 2-hour runtime. I just really feel like this movie started to veer off the edge towards the end, and it wasn't anything Benedict Cumberbatch himself could solve. So again, The Courier is fine. It's great in moments, but as a movie, as a complete experience, I just do feel like there were some things lacking there, and there were breadcrumbs along the way, but we never got to the entire meal. This movie could have been so much more with better execution both in front of and behind the camera. So if I had to rate this film, guys, The Courier would get that 3.5 star out of 5 type of rating. It falls in the middle. It's not going to be the most memorable experience of 2021, but Benedict Cumberbatch is enough for me to say you need to see this film for his performance alone. So there you have it, you guys. That's my real review of The Courier, which again hits theaters March 19th. And when you see it, guys, let me know down below in the comments. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Do you agree with my points, or do you disagree? It's okay. We can have that kind of conversation. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on that bell so you don't miss out on reviews and reactions just like this. We have my Snyder Cut review earlier this week and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier reaction dropping tomorrow. Guys, this weekend is about to be amazing. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.